Published, 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, the 22nd of January 2018. Updated, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the 22nd of January 2018. Probably the best-known church organist in the world passed over the pressing of the keys and pedals in good time for his successor to prepare for his funeral service. It was with the same religious attention to detail and generosity of spirit that Jimmy Armfield handed down the captaincy of England's only World Cup winning team to Bobby Moore. If there was a single moment of bitterness in the life of this English gentleman, no one who knew him can remember it. Jimmy Armfield poses in an England shirt at Blackpool's Bloomfield Road Stadium in 1962. Armfield picked up an injury before the World Cup, so handed the captaincy to Bobby Moore. Fans wrapped scarves around the statue as a shrine developed around the statue. There could have been no crueler time at which to be relieved of the leadership of his country's football team than just 12 days before the Wembley opening of the tournament, which would blossom into English football's most glorious summer. Armfield's tally of 43 England appearances, the last 15 of them as captain, was ended by a toe injury at the least opportune moment. Yet it was with good grace that Armfield gave the cherished armband to the young Adonis of the game. With it went reminders of the quiet advice given for years, beginning at the 1962 World Cup in Chile, where he was the skipper-elect and Moore the international apprentice. That wise counsel remained available to the new skipper throughout the winning of the World Cup, as Armfield remained a member of the England squad, without playing. No one on that hallowed Wembley pitch or watching from the seats could have celebrated the moment of victory with more unreserved gusto and delight. His congratulating of Moore as he held the Jules Rimet trophy aloft was a smiling of beauty. The replacement in the team itself was George Cohen. Moore loved playing with a friend who brought a swashbuckling, overlapping dimension to the position at right back which Armfield had occupied with calm assurance. Moore also relished his bonding in football intelligence with Armfield, and when, in later years, he was asked which of them had been England's finest wearer of the number 2 shirt, he replied with a smile, "Well, one of them." In style, Bobby was more akin to Jimmy. Both led by example rather than entreaty, personified the virtues of patience and spread reassurance through their teams, albeit that Moore would come to assert greater dominance. Armfield's game was based on timing, with his precise passing of the ball and in the tackle, as well as shrewd judgment of position, time and space. All allied to a natural instinct for coming to the aid of fellow defenders at the exact moment of crisis. He was as unflappable on the pitch as when at the organ for evensong at the Church of St. Peter in Blackpool, where he played his football for the Seasiders throughout his club career. Armfield, upon receiving a Special Merit Award from the PFA in April 2008, Armfield pictured at his home. During an interview with Sportsmail in 2011, Armfield became a manager after his playing days and took Leeds to the European Cup finale during many of his club record 627 appearances for Blackpool. This protector of the faith was also the shepherd to a national treasure. Armfield's resourceful presence at right-back liberated Sir Stanley Matthews to dribble his wizardry along that wing and into folklore. When it came to naming his greatest England winger, Armfield was torn between Matthews and Sir Tom Finney, saying, "Both were true greats, perhaps Stan just the greater." England's World Cup learning curve in Chile ended in a quarter-final defeat by Brazil, and to Armfield the revelation of Garrincha, of the little bird on Brazil's right wing who scored twice against England and twice more to win the final against Czechoslovakia, both in the absence of the injured Pelé. Armfield said, "He was a magician. Unstoppable." Armfield described himself as a grassroots Christian, and the same applied to him as a footballer. Humbly born in the Manchester suburb of Denton 82 years ago and moved to Blackpool during the war, he was the proverbial salt of the earth as both a player and a human being. Modest but always striving to give of his best. Sympathetic in victory, courteous in defeat. You felt charmed and honoured when he invited you to join him, not for a drink but for a cup of tea. At St. Peter's he was not only organist and church warden but treasurer. Armfield pictured at Buckingham Palace in 2000 after receiving his OBE from the Queen. Armfield pictured at Preston legend Sir Tom Finney's funeral in February 2014. Born September 21, 1935, Denton, Lancashire. Playing career: Blackpool 1954-71, England 1959-66, Honours: World Cup 1966. Managerial career: Bolton. 1971–74, Leeds, 1974–78, Honours, Division 3, 1973. Armfield's grasp of small finances brought his support to more when it came to distribution of the meagre £22,000 bonus in total offered to the England team if they were to win the World Cup. When manager Alf Ramsey brought the squad together on the eve of the World Cup, he proposed that £500 would go to each of them with bonuses added for match appearances. "No," said the new captain. "We're all in this together and it will be £1,000 each." At once, the former captain nodded his approval. It took longer for the non-playing members to be given the gongs. In the case of Armfield, it was 43 years before he received his CBE, not that he ever asked, as he moved on into sage management and then insightful commentary. I mentioned it to him once at halftime when we were covering the same match. As I did so, we neared the men's toilet and he asked me to wait for him for a minute. As came out, he said, "When you're my age, never pass a lavatory." This lovely man kept giving down-to-earth advice until his end. Come Mr. Armfield's funeral, may his heir at the organ keyboard prove to be as accomplished as Mr. Moore on the football pitch.